We tried every possible way to avoid it. The Yemenis tried every possible way to avoid it. Agreements were made, and every single agreement that was made with the Houthis, 67 of them to be precise, the Houthis reneged on. And so they continued to take over the country, and when they were virtually about to take over the city of Aden with its president, we had to step in.
How much did Iran have to do with the Houthis?
A lot. The Houthis are ideologically affiliated with Iran. The Iranians have provided them with weapons, the Iranians have provided them with advisors, and the Iranians have provided them with money.
And now the Iranians are about to sign a deal, in all probability, that will enable them to continue along the nuclear path. Joining us now is Alireza Jafarzadeh. He's Deputy Director of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, credited with exposing an Iranian nuclear site, more than one in Natanz and Arak in 2002, and he's the author of The Iran Threat. Ali, welcome, sir. An honor to have you with us. You wrote a great piece.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be on your show,
You wrote a
Steve.
great piece at FoxNews.com, The Hidden Truth About Iran's Nuclear Program. What don't we know that you would like us to know?
Well, I think it's very important in the midst of all the talks and negotiations to understand that the other party, meaning the Iranian regime, has a track record of by now 30 years of lying, deception, and hiding its nuclear sites. Just past month in February, we exposed yet another nuclear site in northeast of Tehran known as Labizan 3, where Iran, underground, deep about 50 meters down, in 4 different hallways, they have been testing with advanced centrifuge machines with enrichment away from the eyes of the international community. And they have been trying to hide their entire program throughout these years. You mentioned Natanz, Arak, all of those sites were not coughed up by Iran or found by other agencies. Rather, it was found by the Iranian opposition, who caught the mullahs cheating and exposing them. So this is the regime, the country that you're negotiating with. The fact that Iran, up to this moment, evades questions, key questions, that deals with what they call possible military dimension, meaning the weaponization part of the program, which has no peaceful application, they're evading those questions. The International Atomic Energy Agency, which is a nuclear watchdog of the United Nations, just said just last week that out of the 12 outstanding questions, only one of them has been partially addressed. All the other 11 has been remaining.
Right. Alireza, with that being the case, with the IAEA repeatedly throughout the course of these negotiations saying Iran is not answering our questions, they're not letting us see, they're not being transparent, yet our president here in the United States keeps saying, Iran has lived up to everything so far. Is he living in a fantasy world, or is he just outright lying?
Well, I think in reality, Stephen, members of Congress are extremely concerned about that. And I'm not talking about the Republicans. I'm talking about a good number of Democratic members of Congress, especially in the United States Senate. There's a bipartisan initiative now waiting to see the outcome of the talks. Both Democrats and Republicans are so concerned that the talks are going to be used by Iran to pursue their agenda, which is very different than the agenda of the United States and the P5+1. Iran's only reason at the negotiating table is to lift the sanctions. That's all they care about, and that's all they're asking for. They have no plans to abandon their nuclear weapons program or their weaponization, their research and development, and all of that. And that's why there's a major gap that I don't know how that could be resolved.
Alireza, one more for you. If this deal goes through and if Israel decides to attack, how effective can a military strike against Iran's facilities be? How far could it set them back?
I think, you have to look at it in the bigger picture because, you started with the Houthis. This is a regime that its threat is not just limited to the nuclear threat.
Right.
Was the topic of my book. It's a regime that is sponsoring terrorism all over the world. They're the world's leading state sponsor of terror. They're a major violator of the rights of their own citizens. There have been more killings under Hassan Rouhani, the new president.
No,
than
and
it was
Ali
under
Reza,
Ahmadinejad.
not to interrupt, but and signing any kind of agreement would then give them legitimacy while they continue to do all these and commit all these atrocities and be aggressive in the region. But my answer, what about, could Israel or a military strike set them back, what, 5 years, 10 years? What do you think?
Well, I think if you want to look at the picture, I'm sure you know.
We got 30 seconds, sir,
US
so I hope you
said
give me an
yes,
answer.
All
Yeah.
options are at the table. That would cause trouble for the regime. But you want to look at the whole thing. You want to get rid of the entire nuclear program of Iran, and the real answer to that, the real solution to that, is the change of the Iranian regime, because
Gotcha.
the vast majority
Right,
of the Iranian population, they want to see
Alireza
change.
Jafarzadeh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Senator Chuck Grassley is next, folks. Don't go away.